She walked into the bar expecting nothing more than a quiet night, just music, laughter, and a drink. But in a place where she stood out, whispers turned into stares, and stares turned into something far worse. A biker stepped forward, and in one cruel moment, he tore at her dignity in front of everyone. The room froze, waiting for her to break. But what none of them expected was the truth inked on her skin, truth so powerful it silenced them all. What could one tattoo possibly reveal? It was supposed to be just another Friday night. After a long week of work, Maya decided to stop by a local bar, a place filled with neon lights, the clink of glasses, and the sound of laughter spilling from every corner. For her, this wasn't about standing out or making a statement. She just wanted a drink, maybe a little music, and the comfort of blending into the crowd. But blending in had never been easy for Maya. She was a Black woman in a town where being different often came with stares, whispers, and unspoken judgments. Still, she carried herself with quiet strength, the kind that comes from surviving a lifetime of side comments, cold shoulders, and doors quietly closed in her face. Inside, the bar felt crowded and tense in its own way. Groups of bikers leaned against pool tables, their voices loud, their laughter edged with something sharp. Maya kept her head high as she walked past them, but she could feel their eyes on her. She ordered her drink, trying to ignore the weight of their stares, the way conversation seemed to pause for just a second as she passed. She didn't know it yet, but this ordinary night was about to turn into something unforgettable because one reckless act would reveal a truth she carried with her everywhere. At first, Maya thought she could shake it off. The stares, the whispers, it wasn't new. She'd been here before, in rooms where her presence felt like an intrusion. But something about this bar was different. The bikers weren't just watching, they were waiting. Their laughter grew sharper, and every move she made seemed to invite another smirk. Another comment tossed just loud enough for her to hear. She tried to focus on her drink, to ground herself in the music playing from the jukebox. But the air felt heavy. It was the kind of silence that hides behind noise, the kind that presses on your chest until breathing feels like work. Then it happened. A tall biker with a leather vest and tattooed arms stepped forward. He grinned, but there was no kindness. It was just cruelty. Without warning, he reached out and yanked at Maya's shirt. The room gasped, not because they were shocked by him, but because they were eager to see her humiliated. Maya froze, her heart pounding. In that instant, she felt every memory of every slight, every insult, every time someone had tried to strip her dignity away. This was supposed to be just another night, but now it was a stage, and she had been unwillingly pushed into the spotlight. The laughter started low at first, then louder. It wasn't just about the torn fabric. It was about power, about sending a message that she didn't belong here, that she was less than them. And for a moment, Maya thought she might break under it, but then something shifted. The ripped shirt slid from her shoulder, revealing ink etched into her skin, a tattoo bold and undeniable. The bikers leaned closer, curiosity mixing with arrogance. Not yet understanding what they were seeing, Maya didn't move. She didn't need to. The tattoo spoke for her. It wasn't just decoration, it was history sacrifice. A truth burned into her skin that carried generations of pain and resilience. And suddenly, the room wasn't laughing anymore. The silence was deafening. Eyes that had mocked her only seconds before now flickered with unease, confusion, and maybe even shame. The biker who had touched her stepped back, his smirk fading. He hadn't expected this. None of them had. But what exactly did that tattoo mean? Why did it leave the whole bar frozen in place? The answer, when it came, would change everything. Asterisk. For a moment, the bar felt like it had stopped breathing. All eyes locked on Maya's shoulder, on the bold lines of ink that told a story none of them could laugh at. The tattoo wasn't a random design, it was a tribute. A clenched black fist surrounded by names that stretched across her skin, like a roll call of lives stolen by hate and injustice. Each one carved into her body with purpose. Each one a reminder of what could never be erased. The biker who had ripped her shirt staggered back, his confidence draining as fast as the color. In his face, he had wanted to strip her of dignity, but instead, he had revealed her strength that wasn't just hers, but inherited from generations who refused to be silenced. Maya stood tall, the room's silence pressing in on her. For the first time, the stares weren't mocking, they were uneasy, restless. Some shifted in their seats, suddenly aware of their own complicity in the laughter just moments before. Others looked away entirely, unable to face the weight of what they had seen. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The tattoo screamed louder than words ever could. It was rebellion. It was remembrance. It was truth, and in that truth, the power shifted. The man who thought he could break her had instead exposed himself small, cowardly, and powerless against the legacy etched into her skin. The bar was silent, but beneath that silence burned a question none of them wanted to answer. If those names could no longer speak for themselves, what excuse did they have for staying quiet now? Slowly, the weight of the moment began to sink in. The biker who had tried to humiliate Maya stood frozen, his bravado shattered. The crowd that had once laughed now sat in silence, confronted by the names inked into her skin, names of people who could no longer speak for themselves, names that turned her body into a living memorial. Maya didn't shout. She didn't demand an apology. She simply adjusted what was left of her shirt, lifted her chin, and walked out of the bar with dignity intact. In that silence, her presence lingered heavier than any words could. The bikers, the onlookers, the ones who had laughed, all of them had to sit with the truth of what they had just witnessed. For Maya, the night was more than a painful memory. It was a reminder that every step she took carried the voices of those who had been silenced, that her existence itself was resistance. What was meant to tear her down instead became a moment of power proof that even in places built to make her feel small, she could not be erased, and for everyone watching, both. In that bar and now in the story, the impact reaches beyond one night. Because this isn't just Maya's story, it's the story of countless others who walk into rooms where they are judged before they speak, silenced before they have a chance to be heard, stripped of dignity in ways both subtle and brutal. The question we are left with is not whether Maya was strong enough. She proved that. The question is, how many more times must strength like hers be tested before we decide to change?